Yesterday at about 6:35 p.m., officers of this department were dispatched to an assault in progress at the Brahms restaurant located at 11,200 North May. Upon arrival, officers found the victim, who was later identified as Labor Commissioner Mark Costello, stabbed multiple times and sitting in a vehicle. The officers who responded to the call rendered aid to Mr. Costello until MSUB personnel arrived and took over. Officers also took into custody 26-year-old Christian Costello, who was being detained by witnesses in the parking lot of the restaurant. The victim was transported to an area hospital where he died of his injuries. The information we have is the following. Earlier in the day yesterday, Commissioner Costello and Christian Costello agreed to meet at the restaurant. While at the restaurant, the meeting, for whatever reason, turned violent, and Christian Costello produced a knife and attacked Commissioner Costello. The incident continued into the parking lot as Commissioner Costello attempted to flee from his attacker. Regretfully, him fleeing from his attacker was unsuccessful, and Christian Costello managed to stab the victim multiple times, causing his death. Christian Costello was arrested for murder in the first degree and has been booked into the Oklahoma County Jail. I do want to say that the Oklahoma City Police Department has been in contact with representatives from the Labor Commission and representatives of the family, and they will have counselors on hand this morning to attend to the emotional needs of Mr. Costello's staff. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Mr. Costello's family and his staff as they deal with this very tragic incident. Any questions?
Do we know what the disagreement was over?
We don't know. We know that they both agreed to meet. They were both there willingly, but as far as what set him off to attack the commissioner, we still don't know.
He said that he had a steak knife, apparently. Obviously, that's not something that you can find in Brahms, so are you all investigating that?
We are investigating where the knife came from, where Christian got it, but we do know that it was in his possession when he was meeting with Commissioner Costello.
So would that indicate that maybe there was some premeditation on his part?
Well, we don't know. Until we find out more information, we just don't know.
Christian Costello has been in trouble with the law before. He had an incident a year or two ago and indecent exposure. Do you know if mental illness has any role in this murder?
Well, the incidents that you're describing actually occurred in another municipality, so I can't speak to those. And I can also add that any incident dealing with the mental state of a person is not public record. We do try to protect the individual when they are involved in an incident such as that, so I can't speak on that either.
Captain, can you talk about the people who were there who detained Mr. Costello? Can you talk about how that happened?
Sure, I do have a few details about that. Basically, the attacker was outside following Mr. Costello, Sr., Commissioner Costello, who was actually trying to just flee from his attacker. There were some witnesses who took it upon themselves to defend the victim in this case by using a vehicle to knock the attacker down. Once this occurred, they jumped on him, removed the weapon, and actually held him there until police got there.
Did Mr. Christian Costello say anything during his arrest?
I can't discuss anything that was said by the suspect.
Were any other Costello family members there?
Mr. Mark Costello's wife was in the parking lot as the attack was taking place.
Did she witness this?
She witnessed it, and I do believe that she tried to intervene, but she was unsuccessful.
Have you ever had to be called for any other domestic issue at their home before?
I have not run an inquiry in reference to their home. I do know that we only have one incident involving Christian Costello.
What was that incident?
It was an incident where he was a reporting party in a suspicious activity.
He was the reporting party?
Right.
Do you know when that occurred?
It occurred in 2013.
Who contacted police?
Last night?
Yes.
I believe several witnesses called, made 911 calls to the police. I don't know. I don't have a specific name, and we are currently pulling those calls.
Is there surveillance video in Brahms in the parking lot? Is that
There might be. We have not attained it yet. There might be.
Captain, were there any other injuries besides Mr. Costello himself?
Not that I know of. I mean, he was stabbed multiple times. I mean, he was stabbed multiple times inside the restaurant and outside the restaurant. Those are the only injuries that I know of.
Was Mrs. Costello in the restaurant as well, or was she outside?
She was outside.
And was it the Mrs. Costello's vehicle where you found?
I don't know.
And what about formal charges? Can you just kind of explain the process now, how that works?
Sure. Well, you know, understand that it is a job of the police department to obviously investigate the case. An arrest was made last night. We have the person in jail who we firmly believe, you know, was the attacker who caused Mr. Mark Costello's death. At this point, we have to gather all evidence. We have to speak to all witnesses. This is going to take some time. Just last night, there were, I believe, approximately 17 people that we had to interview. There's going to be subsequent interviews to get more information. If there is surveillance tape, we want to obtain that and also gather that as evidence. The crime scenes, both crime scenes, inside and out, were processed last night. So it's a very extensive situation, and we have to put all this together. Once we put all this together, then we're going to present it to the district attorney. It's going to be up to the district attorney to make the determination as to what charges will be formally accepted.
And in terms of this entire investigation, is Christian Costello the only person looking at in terms of criminal behavior?
At this point, yes.
An investigation like this, what kind of timeline are you looking at? Maybe a week before you present your case to the DA?
You know, it's really hard to tell. I can't put a timeline on it. You know, it'll be at least a couple of weeks before we put this thing together. You know, it's not as simple as it looks. I mean, simply because we have lots of witnesses and a crime scene doesn't, you know, sometimes it's actually more complicated because there's so many people involved. So, I mean, it's going to take a few weeks at least for us to put this thing together.
Were there any other weapons discovered?
Not to my knowledge. It was one knife.
How about any remorse on the part of the suspect?
You know, I did not meet with him, obviously, and I have not talked to any of the detectives who, you know, had contact with Christian Costello, but I just don't have those details as far as what his attitude was, what his demeanor was.
Do you know anything about him? Does he have family? Is he married, divorced? Anything?
I don't. I believe he may have a girlfriend. That's the only information I have.
Do we know how long they were in the restaurant before the altercation took place?
I do not have those details. I'm sorry.
What about the trauma? I mean, the people at Brahms were pretty traumatized. I talked to them this morning. It was a very traumatic event. The restaurant was packed because it was nice last night and it was dinner time.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a very, very tragic thing. You know, police officers, firefighters, EMS personnel, we're all used to seeing this kind of thing, and it's very difficult for us to deal with a tragic situation. I mean, I can think in my own career, I always remember in very vivid detail, you know, the incidents that I've encountered. So, obviously, very, very traumatic for all the witnesses who were there. Very traumatic for the family, and you know, it's a very sad and tragic situation. And you know, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do the best job that we can, you know, for the victim, for his family, you know, and you know, our deepest condolences go out to the Costello family and also to, you know, all the people that worked around Mr. Costello. He was obviously made a very, very important impact in the state, and you know, a lot of people know him, a lot of people love him, and it's just tragic all the way around.
And so one of the passersby or one of the witnesses actually what drove their car into?
You know, it's unclear exactly how that happened. You know, I have a couple of stories, but basically used their vehicle to basically keep Christian from further attacking his father. So he may have nudged him with a vehicle, causing him to fall down, and that's when the other witnesses jumped on top of him and disarmed him. But I don't have the exact details. I just know that it was at least two witnesses who played a role in detaining him, and a vehicle was used, and they had to secure him. You know, they secured him on the ground until police got there and took custody of Christian Costello.
Can you tell us how they secured him?
You know, I don't have those details. I believe a belt was used to maybe wrap around his hands. That's all the information I have.
Do you know the nature of the wounds? There have been reports that he was stabbed in the face and head and upper torso.
He was stabbed multiple times, and he was stabbed at least once in the head. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times. I don't have those details. I know that it was a very, very tragic, very gruesome attack.
He was at least stabbed once in the neck too, right?
I don't know.
Besides the knife, was anything else found on him, like substances or anything like that?
Not that I know of. I don't have any knowledge of that.
Has the governor's office been in contact with city police?
You know, we've been in contact with a lot of individuals. You know, a lot of people have expressed their condolences to the family, and also, you know, wanted to make sure that we had all the help that we needed on a case like this, but we have been in contact with several entities of government.
You know if Christian has an attorney yet?
I don't know.
It was described as a steak knife. Do you know if the blade was like 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches?
I really do not know the how big the knife was. I don't know. It was a knife worthy of causing somebody's death. You know, that's. He had it on his person. We don't know where he got it from.
And you don't know for certain that it was a steak knife?
I don't know what type of knife it was.
Now, they met there at the restaurant. Did Christian Costello drive himself there? And you guys have
I don't know how he got there. I don't know if he was driven by somebody else. I don't know how he got there. I just know that it was a planned meeting. It was really, kind of a very typical thing.
So did you take any cars into evidence?
I don't believe any vehicles were processed other than the vehicle that Mr. Costello was in when police found him.
Do you know what kind of car it was?
I do not know what kind of car it was. Sorry, I don't have those details.
So did investigators interview witnesses like late into the night last night? Do you have any idea how many witnesses were taken to the station to be interviewed?
I don't know exactly. I know that investigators spoke to approximately 17 people. So no, it was a very late night. Not only that, but 2 scenes to process. It was, in a case like this, in any homicide, we have to make sure that we do everything possible to collect all the evidence. So it was a late night for investigators, and they usually do a great job.